Yes, it's another beautiful day to celebrate an outstanding woman in media. Yes, you're welcome to the Ladies in Media show. Judging from my intro song, you should know where we are going to. But if you don't worry. My name is Margaret Baden. Today, we are about to celebrate the achievements of a woman who has done so well in the media fraternity. Her name, I will share with you later. Today, our topic of the day goes, what two things can we do to advance oneself? What two things can we do to advance oneself? Don't go anywhere, stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Ladies in Media show, where we celebrate the achievements of women in media. My guest today will mesmerize you today. My guest will mesmerize you. Judging from everything that is going to happen today, you don't want to miss anything that we are going to do right here on the Ladies in Media show. She is a producer, a presenter, an event host, a mother, an entrepreneur, and a singer. Wow, she wears many hats. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, will help me welcome Miss Kukui.
Hi, Margaret. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for gracing this show for us. Thank you.
Okay, I'll give you a B minus on your song. I'm just kidding. Of the introduction. No, I'm just kidding. You actually did really well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it.
Okay, maybe it's my audition tape. I actually want to be
you want to be part of the band Kukui?
I want to be part of your band. So that was a strategy for me.
Oh, I see. All right. So we will add you. The next auditions will call you.
Great.
To come and sing in person.
I will really love to. I will really love to.
Awesome.
It's so wonderful to see you here.
It's lovely to meet you too.
I'm so glad you're here today.
Let's have a good chat. Now,
how are
I'm on the other side today, so I'm not hosting. You're hosting me.
How are you?
I'm well. Thank you. It's 2023. You know, the year has gotten off to a running start. Lots of anticipation. We're hoping for a better year. Last year was quite tough, you know, for many reasons. And so this year, we just hope that it's a blessing for everyone. And all of the struggles we went through last year made us tough for a reason. But this year, we can actually enjoy some relief and you know, good things will come our way. So that's what we're all hoping for.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I want to ask, like, that was the first thing that I said. When I meet you, I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Why classical music? Like a young black girl, you know, growing up. Why, or did you just go to music school and you fell in love with classical music, or you actually went there focused that you want to do classical music?
No, I had no intention of becoming a classical musician or musician at all. So I always say that music found me or music chose me and not the other way around. I mean, I'd always had a love for music, but never did I think I would become an opera singer of all things, you know.
Wow.
And I actually consider it a privilege because I think God blesses us all differently with many gifts, and you're meant to use them, right? So obviously he gave me a gift for a reason. I have to use it. And for several years, I wasn't focusing on music at all. And, you know, as you know, I work in the media, and I think I spent most of my career in the public eye working in the media. But recently I realized, wait a minute, you can't just sit on this, you need to use it. So yeah, I didn't set out to become a musician at all.
Where did it start from?
I think the transition point for me was university in the US, where I was supposed to be studying political science and becoming a lawyer. And I ended up becoming a music major, studying music and pursuing it to master's degree level. So that's where it really started for me, I would say. I had sung it before, you know, in school choir and all of that, but...
So where did the love come for the classical music, doing opera?
You know, interestingly, when you're studying music and voice, where I studied, you study classically. And I think for some reason, my voice just naturally goes in that direction. You know, there are people who can sing R&B style, pop. There are people, we call them belters, you know, they can really belt out. My voice doesn't work that way. Just naturally, it doesn't. try as I might, I don't have a Whitney Houston type voice. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's one important lesson for people, that whatever talent you're blessed with, work with what you naturally have. Don't necessarily try to sound like someone else. Where your voice goes, let it lead you, and specialize there. So mine just happened to go that way. It just happened to go classically, and the training that we got at Spelman, where I went to university, was also classical technique, and we learned a lot of classical music, and the repertoire was in that line. So it just happened to be a good fit. But it took a while for me to really grasp the concept of having lessons and training your voice, and it was a long time before I got comfortable singing that technique and singing publicly. It took a while.
Wow.
It took a while, yeah.
Wow.
So,
and
but I mean, just work
so
at it.
amazing. So tell us the story behind you performing for the president of Ghana.
Oh, interestingly, I've performed for the president several times. So I'm not sure which one. Maybe the first time.
One, how did it happen?
The first time, if I'm not mistaken, would probably be at Accra Church. Yes, I think that would be the first time, at their carol service.
Okay.
So the music director at the time at Accra Church, his name is James Atu Scott Benin. Some call him Red Cap in the industry. So Uncle Atu was the music director there. He met me through a close friend of my mom's, Auntie Ajele, who was also in the Red Church choir, and they were preparing for their Christmas concert. And she said, "Oh, I think you should meet my niece. She sings classical music. She moved to Ghana not long ago, and listen to her." So he met me, he heard me sing, and he said any opportunity he had for me to sing, he would give me. So as we know, the president attends Accra Church. That's his church, and he was there at the carol service, and I believe he goes every year if he can. And so that's the first time I think he heard me sing. After that, I performed at a Christmas concert at his brother's house, Uncle Bumpty. They asked me to come and sing harmonious chorale as well. Was there, and since then I've sung many times for whether it's the national anthem, where he's going to be, the guest of honor, or at the Jubilee House for an event, and they want someone to come and sing. So there's been a few.
You're blessed.
Very much so. I know it's really a privilege. It's really a privilege to be noticed in that way and to be given those kinds of opportunities. I don't take it for granted at all, and I'm very grateful to him, and to Uncle Artu, to Uncle Bumpty, Auntie Irene, and yes, His Excellency the President as well, and for everyone who supported Auntie Ajele, people who have given me platforms to sing. Really grateful to all of them. Yeah.
So what is the plan for this music? Aside I know you run a band, which the Kukui band.
So it's the band Kukui. So as I mentioned, in the past couple of years, I've really had that push to sing more. And dear man to my heart, his name is Michael Dodu. He's a brilliant musician, one of the most fantastic musicians I've ever met. I mean, I shouldn't even say he's just a musician. He's a sound engineer. He arranges music. He's fantastic. Now, Michael and I collaborate a lot on musical projects, and we've done 2 Christmas concerts together, and it's called Nubian Noel. So we did 2021. That was the first one. We did it at the Folks Place Amphitheatre at National Theatre. And we had a guest choir that came. We had a combination of band instruments, guitar, keyboard, drums, and some classical instruments as well, strings mainly, traditional percussion, because we want to fuse genres together. Yes, we're classically trained musicians, but we also appreciate the fact that we're Ghanaian, we're African, and so we fuse some genres together. In 2022, we did the concerts again, this time the main auditorium of the National Theatre. We auditioned our own backing vocalists this time around. We basically officially formed the band Kukui. We worked on some EPs during the year as well, leading up to the concert. So the project has taken on a new life. And
amazing.
So the genre that we perform, we call it Afro-Popera. So it's a blend of African music, popular music, and opera or classical music. So Afro-Popera is our thing. And we plan on doing a lot more, God willing. So that's how the project came about, and we really look forward to more more musical projects and collaborations. People should
Amazing.
watch this space.
Are you planning on actually having a space whereby we have a lot of classical, young, vibrant people?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to do that. I think, and not just classical. Classical technique is great because it gives you a very solid foundation, with music basics and principles of music and all of that, right? But again, we think about the fact that in our Ghanaian and African context, it's not just about just getting up and singing or playing an instrument. What is your foundation? Do you have at least a basic knowledge of just basic music theory and principles and things of that nature, just to help people be better musicians? I mean, we can all learn. Look, I have a lot to learn from everyone I work with. There are people who I admire so much, and I wish I knew more about this or that, and I wish I could play piano flawlessly like some of my colleagues do, like Michael does. But I think in general, not just for classical music, a lot of young musicians, we need better training and more understanding of music basics. So yes, we do intend on helping not just the musicians in our space and in our band, but musicians who are interested in developing as well.
How was growing up like for you?
Growing up for me.
What environment did you grow up?
I grew up, was born here in Accra. Then when I was a baby, my family moved to the UK. My dad was furthering his education, so we moved to join him there and lived there for almost 10 years, then moved back to Ghana. So I did a bit of primary and JHS here, and then secondary school as well, and then moved to the US for undergrad and graduate school. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But I was such a reserved, quiet child. I didn't get into trouble. I wasn't that child who had any interesting stories of being not. I was that child who always wanted to do the right thing and didn't like getting in trouble. Didn't want to get in trouble with her parents, her teachers, nobody. Like, you wouldn't find anyone complaining about Kukui. No.
Wow.
No, I was too good, maybe. I think. Yeah.
So where did the media love come from?
The media, again, had no plans of working in the media. Media came actually through music. So I did a concert for a foundation which the First Lady, Rebecca Kufuor, founded. It's called the Infanta Malaria Foundation. Now, they invited me to take part in this concert. So there's a Japanese woman who was part of Infanta Malaria. In fact, she's now the wife of the Japanese ambassador to Ghana. Wow. At the time, her husband was the deputy ambassador, I believe, but she's a concert pianist. So her name is Naomi Mochizuki, and she's wonderful, and so they said, since we've got Naomi here, she's Japanese, she plays piano, let's do a classical concert to raise some money for the foundation and to get some mobile clinics that they could take to rural areas to help people. Then one of the members, her name is Krantima Adidako, said, I know this young Ghanaian lady who sings classical music, opera, and I think we should include her in the program so that we have a Ghanaian side to it as well. I mean, it's a classical concert, but it'd be nice to have a Ghanaian in there. Then they brought in a German gentleman to play violin. So that's how I did that concert. In the audience for that concert was the MD of City FM and the owner of City FM, so Samuel Atamensa and Nikamati Fio. Now, Samens saw me, and in fact, I think we did an interview on City FM with Bernard Avle at the time. City Breakfast Show was just Bernard, pretty much. And so that's how I first met him. And they said, after the concert, we want you to come back. We want to talk to you. So I went back, and they said, look, we think you should come and host a classical music radio show on City. And I thought, wow, okay, this is interesting. I never, just like that. And I thought, really? And they said, yeah, this is an opportunity to work for a media house and, come in and you can talk about classical music. You can play classical music on Sundays, Sunday mornings. And I thought, my first thought was, okay, so that means no church for me because I have to come and do this. And they said, look, it's a good deal, come and do it. And, it wasn't not like a paid role or anything, but just we'll give you that slot. Come in and do your own classical musical show. So I said, okay, let's try it. So I started a show called Classic City. And I used to do it every Sunday. I would go in there, pregnant, did that, had the baby, got pregnant again, carrying one baby in car seat. My husband would come along with me. Like, it was a whole thing. Sunday morning, go there,
Wow.
play classical music. I would talk about each piece, give a bit of background history about the composers, all of that. I did that for maybe a year or so in. And they called me for another meeting at Samens and Bernard, and they said, okay, now we want to offer you a slot to join Bernard on the City Breakfast Show as his co-host. And I thought, why? Like, I'm playing my classical music. You want me to come and talk politics and current? Why? And they were like, no, we think you can do it.
So they just moved you from playing music to
Yes,
being
from the
morning
classical
show
music show to come and
morning
join
show.
Bernard on CBS. And I thought, why on earth? But I think Samens saw something or heard something or knew something, and he said, no, I think you can do this. So I was actually Bernard's first co-host proper on City Breakfast Show.
Wow.
Years before I came back to City. And the two of us had a great rapport. I mean, it was wonderful and is wonderful working with Bernard Avler.
Wow. The first time I saw you was on Viasat.
Yes, so this was before
it-
Viasat.
This was before Viasat.
This was before Viasat.
Okay.
Yes.
So where did the Viasat come in?
Aha. So now you see how I left City the first time. So I was on air with Bernard and still doing the Sunday show, actually.
Okay.
So I would do, during the week, we would do City Breakfast Show together. So it was primarily Bernard and me. Then we had Richard Sky, who would come and do some, on the panel as well. Nana Majiman came later, I believe. Godfrey Akoto at that time did mainly sports.
Okay.
So that was what the team kind of looked like. But it was, Bernard and me, and it was great, Then I got a call from Anita Eskin. At the time, she was working at Viasat as a head of production. And she said, Kukui, Viasat is starting a new show. It's a morning show.
Wow.
And they're looking for a female host, and they want you to be the female host. And I thought, but I just started City Breakfast Show with Bernard, and it's going really well. And she was like, okay, why don't you just come in? They want to do a screen test and see how it goes. Now, at the time, Viasat was relatively new, but they were doing really well. They were climbing, they were challenging TV3, like they came into the Ghanaian market. It's a
That's
Swedish
true,
company.
That's true.
And they were breaking all the rules. And
yeah, that's true. With their shows like the America's Next Top Model.
Oh, the shows were awesome. The content was great. They had a very, very solid strategic plan for how to penetrate the market and capture a good share of it, and just how to appeal to Ghanaians in general. And so other stations started copying some of the stuff Viasat was doing, So I think the one show was the main own production Viasat had at the time. That was hosted by Jocelyn. Yeah. Then they were going to bring on This Morning, which was the breakfast show. So I went in, did the screen test with two gentlemen, one of whom was Patrice Amegashi, who ended up being my co-host. I won't say who the other person was, but we just clicked. That was my first time meeting Patrice.
Okay,
I didn't know him.
Did you people audition together?
We did, yes, we did. So we did the screen test. There were two women. I was one of them, and there were two men.
Okay.
Patrice was one of them. So we screen tested with each other. So I did it with both men separately, and the other lady also did same. Then the producers, Amaka Bebrese at the time, was also in charge of productions for the Viasat side. Anita was in charge for Modern African Productions, which was the production house for Viasat. It's a bit complicated, but not so much. So then the CEO at the time, Charlotte Gustafson, they all decided, okay, Kukui, Patrice, that's it, we're going. So now I had a decision to make. Do I stay at City? Or do I go to Viasat? Because they're both breakfast shows. I can't do both.
Oh.
Yes.
But one is radio and one is TV.
Yeah, but they're at the same time in the morning.
Okay.
Yes. So that then became the decision. Do I stay on radio or do I move and go and start
We all know what the decision was.
We all know what the decision was. It wasn't an easy one, I'll say that, because I really loved working with Bernard. I thought City was great. And I think maybe the deciding factor was not necessarily TV per se, but I think it was the chance to start something new on a station that was really blazing a trail. I liked the challenge of, okay, this is a fresh show that we have to build. And for me, I saw it as a challenge. Like, okay, let's build something great. And it had a good team behind it, and And as we know, it became the #1 morning show. And
Yes,
we
it
were
was.
so proud of that. So that's how I went to Viasat.
And you guys were quite a pair. I
Yes,
felt like you guys knew each other. Like
I
the way you guys
know.
vibe, it's like
Everyone thought we knew each other before the show. Some people thought we were a couple, which
yeah,
no,
it
we are
looked
not.
like.
We never were. But we're still very good friends to this day. So yeah, whenever we get together, it's like we're back. Yeah.
So
Patrice.
how has the experience been for you so far?
Working in the media.
Yes.
I think it's a mixed bag. I think our industry is still, we haven't even scratched the surface of the potential of the industry. It isn't well structured.
Okay.
You know, we've got some media houses that seem to have found their way and their footing over the past 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, whatever. But as far as an industry is concerned, I think there's so much more that needs to be done. From a regulation standpoint, I wish that we could have fewer media houses that just gave more quality.
Okay.
I think we have a lot
Lots
of
of
TV
media.
stations, and I just don't see how they're contributing to national discourse properly or even educating the public. I think television or media should have two primary responsibilities. Yes, it's entertainment, but it should also educate. And, you know, we learn from other jurisdictions how possible that is and how they've done it, you know, and how they've invested in quality content. And when you do that, you see that the industry then begins to grow. And then you get the best of the best coming into the industry to contribute to it. I think we're not telling enough of our own stories.
Okay.
Now we've got media houses like at City, you know, there's a series that is on City TV now called Hairdressers, which is a wholly Ghanaian produced series. You know, City is
Okay.
producing it, Ghanaian actors, Ghanaian directors, everything, which I think is great, which can tell Ghanaian stories. I'm on a series called Accra Medic, which airs on Akwaba Magic on
Yeah, I've seen
DSTV.
that.
Again, Ghanaian writer, director, producer, actors, everything Ghanaian produced here in Ghana. And Akwaba Magic, I think, is doing a phenomenal job with promoting Ghanaian content, full
Yes,
Ghanaian content.
that's
You know,
true.
they're supporting a lot of Ghanaian creatives to get their content onto a credible platform, and it's making the quality better. I think one of the biggest issues we find is remuneration. So salaries in the media, for instance, they're not the best. And you know, you hear of some people who work in media houses who make next to nothing, and you ask, how are they supposed to survive? You know,
Wow.
it's a very demanding profession. There are some media houses that, I mean, you'll see people, whether it's cameramen, sound, presenters, etc. Early in the morning, late at night, they're working. You know, they're expected to look good, sound good, have energy, you know, put themselves in sometimes precarious situations to get the news. And it can be a big sacrifice. I mean, if you're on a breakfast show, for instance, you're leaving home very early in the morning,
Like
leaving your home, leaving your
5
family.
a.m.
You know, you wake up quite early. I mean, I wake up at 4. Around 4, you get to work. You know, and when you're on air on a live show, you've got to be switched on for several hours continuously. It's not as easy as people think. Sometimes when people come on air for interviews, you know, they're literally shaking, and you know, people watch you and they can easily criticize you and what you do, but being in front of the cameras is a different ball game, you know. So you can be a target for sometimes negativity, and there are people who are very supportive as well, but that's just one aspect of it, you know. Then you've got issues that media houses face with funding. Advertising is how media makes money, and when companies struggle, the media struggles, because then
That's true.
people are not spending money to advertise, and that's what we're
Wow.
finding now. Last year was a tough year because companies were struggling, you know, banks were struggling, telcos were holding back,
Wow.
companies were not spending like they used to, and when that happens, you lose your advertising revenue. So as a media house, what do? You know, your primary function is media, whether it's entertainment, whether it's news, whether it's sport, you know. And once you lose the people who will fund that activity, you know, and you get that based on listenership and your positioning, etc. But if you've got a system where even your reach as a media house is always being reduced for whatever reason, you know, the NCA keeps coming up with ways to basically truncate the reach of media houses, so they can't broadcast beyond a certain radius, then that
Wow.
also affects. So again, there's a lot of problems,
So how
myriad
is
problems.
the media looking for the younger folks coming? Is digital media the solution for us?
Digital media is a blessing and a curse because now, of course, it's accessible to everyone, pretty much everyone, but that also means quality control is
Okay.
questionable. Anyone can get up and tweet, post,
anything.
snap something and call it news. Okay, but does that make that person a journalist? Are we now redefining who a journalist is? Is
That's
anyone
true.
who has a phone or a social media account a journalist now? How
That's
credible is the
true.
information? Some media houses even do rely on that for information, but then we are the ones who have to now go and do the proper work to verify. Okay, somebody tweeted this. Is it true? You now go and verify. So you may not always be the first to break the news, but you have to be accurate because of
Okay.
credibility. Otherwise, your credibility is shot. But the individual who went to post it, they don't really have that risk. They can post something that's a rumor. Okay, if it's false, they'll come and tweet, oh, sorry, I got it wrong. And they keep moving. As a media house, the minute you do that, you are bashed up and down. Like, how can you, a reputable media house like you, how can you post something like this? But at the same time, you have to play the social media game to stay relevant. So
Wow.
you've got to have your website, your social media platforms where you also spread news, but you've got to be so careful what you post, right? So there's that threat of social media overtaking traditional media as far as how people consume news. So newspapers are suffering.
Oh.
Radio and TV, I mean, yes, they're still in the game, but TV, I think probably more so than radio, is suffering a lot because people watch things on their phone now.
Yeah.
Everything is in the palm of your hand. You're on the go. You've got, oh, what's on Twitter? What's trending? Okay, that's what's going on in the world. I'm done. There are still people who might buy a newspaper, but for the younger generation, how many?
They don't buy.
So print media is definitely under threat. Radio, yes, people still rely on that, and it's still, as far as options for consuming news and stuff goes, yes, still relevant. But there are positives and negatives to the social media revolution for traditional media. We just have to keep adapting, and try to stay as relevant as possible.
Wow. So where did the acting come in? When did you decide that, okay, I've tried this, I've tried that, now I want to go into acting?
That's another interesting one. Okay, so with acting, I was doing some work with, should we say, an agency that was running a movement called Sky Girls. Now, Sky Girls is basically for teenage girls, aged 13 to 17, to help them build their self-confidence and self-esteem, to teach them about staying away from bad habits like smoking, and to promote their good hobbies and habits. So if you're a young girl who loves to dance, you love to sing, you love to sew, you love to read, you love to ride bikes, it's that group where young girls can come together and share their hobbies that they love in a safe space and share good values together. And again, to talk about the negative aspects of some of the social vices like smoking, because they noticed that it's really pervasive in young girls and young women. By the time they get to a certain age, they're introduced to things like shisha, which is very harmful to the health, right? So they came up with this program and this project called Sky Girls, and they decided that, hey, let's do a movie to kind of show young people what we're trying to tell them, because young people love to watch movies. So the Sky Girls movie, I was in the second one. So it's called Sugar, Spice, and Sauce. They did part one. They put me in part two as the mother of one of the characters, and that was cool. Okay. Then
But how did they put you in? Because you don't have any acting experience.
Yeah. You know the funny thing?
How did they pick you?
My undergrad degree is actually in theater and music.
Oh.
So I actually studied like I did stage plays, and so I actually studied acting in that, in that way.
How did they discover you?
Again, I was working with them as an ambassador for Sky, a parent ambassador. So I would go around to different schools, talk to schools, talk to parents about what Sky is all about and why it's good for their teenagers and everything. But when they were doing the movie, I suppose they were looking for someone who could play this character or this role. And they just said, oh, we think you should do it. So can you play this role as the mother? That was literally it too. It wasn't something I went seeking or looking for. Then after that, oh wait, no, actually, I tell a lie. Before that, there was a series called An African City, which was created and directed by Nicole Amatefio, who's a Ghanaian director, writer. She's actually doing some writing on some American TV series now. Nicole's amazing. So Nicole came up with this show. It was a series about African women who had returned to the motherland. So they're returnees. And so they've come back to Ghana, which they're supposed to be, I think one is supposed to be like East African, one is supposed to be maybe Nigerian, one is supposed to be, but they are four friends, and one is Ghanaian, the main character. Now, these four friends have come back, they moved back home, and they come with all their Western influence, coming back to Ghana and adapting to being back in Ghana. So that's what the whole series is about. So there are these, professional women, upwardly mobile, living their lives. And she said, oh, Kukui, there's a role in this series I'm doing. I'd love for you to be in it. And the role was like playing the girlfriend of the main character's ex-boyfriend.
Hey.
Yeah. So that was actually the first one I did here, An African City. And it was a series. So that was interesting. Then came Sky Girls. Then came Accra Medic, which I'm currently on, which is the medical drama on Aquaba Magic. The first Ghanaian TV medical drama. And
Amazing.
I play an obstetrician gynecologist called Dr. Ayana Azuri.
Yeah, that movie is very nice. The series.
I think Accra Medic is great.
They did a great production.
Yes, that's Revel Films. Awesome. Emmanuel and Julia Pia and the whole team. Yeah.
What have been some of your challenges? I know in trying to thrive in this various aspects of your life, you've done literally everything.
I think I haven't done everything, and I think there's more to come. But I think the biggest challenge is balancing.
Okay. At
any point, something will give. You can't. I mean, some people say, "Oh, can you have it all?" I say no. I say, okay, not all at once. Okay. And I think because of that, the biggest thing that has probably suffered is my family. It takes me away from my husband, my kids, and then finding time to juggle everything and do it well. So there are some points in the year where I'm laser focused on getting ready for the Christmas concert, because it's a lot of work and rehearsals, but then it takes me away from home a lot. Sometimes we have all-night rehearsals or long ones, and I'm stressed, and so I think just the balance, the work-life balance, and trying to have enough time for everything. And when you're a creative, there's always something new you want to try and do. So yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge. And then of course, making enough money so I can just chill and retire and relax and enjoy, Charlie, the foreign celebrities, there's a reason they make that much money, because when you're creative, you put so much into what you do. And people don't understand that there's a lot of preparation that goes into our final product. So as you're sitting here, you're hosting this show. Okay, you have to practice even being a host, what questions you're going to ask, do some research. Even the way you look, you've got to get your right outfit together, your hair. So they see you sitting here, okay, she's just come to talk for 30 minutes and go. They don't see that you had to assemble a crew. Everybody's got to be paid. So when you're charging for maybe hosting an event, and they say, hey, but why should we pay you this much? Well, you should pay this much because she's trained. She's taken time to prepare for this. And this is years of preparation. But they see it as, oh, but you're just coming to do something for 30 minutes or 1 hour and go. No, pay creatives properly, please, people.
Please,
we need to be
creatives.
We need to be paid properly. That will also help. Because now it's like people don't really respect creative professions because they think, oh, anyone can get up and do it, without realizing that there's training and preparation and a lot of time and effort that goes into creative production. So yeah, pay us well.
Is it that in our part of the world, they don't really value it that much?
I think for some reason, yeah. And I think that's a function of somewhere along the line, we lost an appreciation for art. Somewhere along the line. I don't think I think in the past, people used to value the art a lot more. And when you talk to people like our parents' generation, and maybe just after that, some people who are a bit older than me, they'll tell you that, look, they used to study music in school. They can talk about Ghanaian artists in various disciplines who were internationally renowned, doing wonderful things across the world. And Ghanaian art was appreciated and respected. And there are some now who are doing the same thing. I have a friend who's a visual artist. Her name is Maku Azu. This woman is selling paintings all over the world and making hundreds of thousands of dollars on one, There's Paul Ninson, who is a photographer, he's Ghanaian. He got the chance to go and study in New York. Now he's back. He was able to raise $1.5 million. He's opened a gallery in Kajano now, and he's showing Ghanaian art. It's the first library of art in Ghana. Do you understand? There are people, Ibrahim Mahama up in Tamale, he's opened Red Clay Studios. He sold a piece of art for $1 million, and he's using the money to teach the children in the northern parts of the country about art and to give them great experiences. He bought some old airplanes. He's put them there so they can come and explore. Do you understand? So there are those Ghanaians who are doing so well. Yao Parry goes around to photograph things and just to showcase that artistic side of Ghana. Dance God Lloyd, what he's doing with dance.
Yeah.
He's gone international. Do you understand? And of course our musicians, they're making waves now. So there's a lot of artistic genius here, but people have to struggle on their own for so long to get there. Then when they get there, we want to hail them. Oh, they're Ghanaian. But where was the support for them to get there?
That's true.
Where's the support?
That's
So
true.
we've got Ghanaians who are helping Wizkid and Burna Boy and with their content, but it's
our
like
own, we don't.
we're not supporting them. We're not helping them. But when they make it big, then we start to hail them. So as a system, I think we need to do a lot more for the creative sector, and provide a lot more support, invest in it more, and the return will come. Because it's a lucrative industry when it's done right.
Sure.
The
return
will surely come.
The return will surely come. Before we let you go, our topic for the day, you need to give us your take on it.
Okay.
We also want to hear what you think about it. What 2 things can one do to develop oneself?
2 things. I think read more. There's always something to learn. So maybe I shouldn't say read, but I'd say keep learning.
Okay.
I think YouTube has proven to be a fantastic tool for people to learn things. I mean, I know people who have actually started businesses just because they learned something on YouTube. And now they're making money from that skill. So keep learning. There's always something you can learn, and don't be afraid to try something new that you've always wanted to. I mean, there are a lot of naysayers, and there are people who might discourage you. But if truly and deeply there's something you want to do within your life, do not be discouraged. Go out there, be bold and brave enough to try it. Because guess what? If you don't try, you will always regret not trying.
Wow.
But if you try and it even doesn't work, at least you'll say, I tried. I tried and I knew it didn't work out, but at least I tried. But the worst thing in life, I think, is to have regrets for something you were not brave enough to try. Yes, and you never did it. So yeah, keep learning and be bold. Go out there and try something you want to do. Just try.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. What last word will you leave for our viewers?
Look, if you're someone who's in the creative sector, or you're someone who wants to work in the media, since we're talking about media, I say go for it. We need talented, brilliant people in the creative sectors. So don't be discouraged by that. I know that security, as far as financial security, is a big problem in our industry. So that deters a lot of people. But I tell you, if we can suffer a little bit, maybe the next generation will be better. If we can improve the sector, push for things that make it better, think about what the future could be for the Ghanaian creative industry and the Ghanaian media, okay? So don't hide your talent. If you have that talent as something you want to pursue, go for it. Go for it. But again, keep pursuing excellence, because we need excellence in media and creativity. We don't need mediocrity. We have enough mediocrity. So please, let's pursue excellence in what we do. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation, and thank you for gracing this show for us. Thank you all there for also watching and staying with us. This has been the Ladies in Media show. Today my costume was by Ruba Curls. So if you want Ruba Curls to style you for your wedding, your engagement, just go on IG and look for Ruba Curls, and she will hook you up with a lovely gown and costume for all your occasion. And thank you so much to my production crew as well. This has been the Ladies in Media show. When we say Ladies in Media, we say we are taking over. See you next time.